Hello people, and welcome back to part 62 of Begusia, the Cities Skylines build guide. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And last episode, we looked at how you can implement a modular build into your cities, and we did the same thing in Begusia by working on a much more refined, high-density green cities residential estate. And you guys really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad that you did. Thank you for all the kind comments on this one. Most of you, I think if not all of you, seem to agree that this version looks better, which I'm super happy with. I was expecting some comments to say like, no, I prefer the old one, why did you delete it? But you didn't, you enjoyed this version, which is great. So yeah, it's still slowly leveling up. There is a high-rise ban on here now as well, so things won't go past level 3, I think, 3 or 4. And you know, they'll kind of stay at a sensible height for this particular area. But in today's episode, we are going to be talking about destroying things. So this has been the topic of conversation in comments and the Discord and live streams quite a few times, is that people are not scared, like scared isn't the word, but they're a little bit kind of reluctant to delete old infrastructure just because they don't have to rebuild it or they don't know quite how it's going to turn out. And with this kind of circular suburb that we have in Braithwaite Town, so here's Braithwaite Town Centre right here, yeah? So we have this big kind of circle suburb right on the edge here, and it doesn't look nice. It looks very unplanned. These little road networks here are okay, like we tried some kind of elevated walking paths through here. During a stream, there's lots of empty space, some kind of random houses. Kind of the houses within the rings don't look too bad themselves, but the rings aren't symmetrical kind of from one side to the other. This park is too big. Yeah, I don't like this area. So today what we're going to do is we're going to discuss about how you can rebuild and destroy old builds that you're no longer happy with. And we're going to see... we're going to kind of keep the same idea of the circles and the parks. So I guess we'll just kind of see how it turns out. So I'm going to go ahead and delete probably from like here along this main road. Delete all these circles, the park in the middle. And then we'll come back and kind of see what kind of space we have to work with. Okay guys, so we'll play the game and we'll watch all these houses disappear. So all the road infrastructure is gone, all the paths, all the park assets. Everything has disappeared, so our population is going to take a pretty enormous hit at the moment, but we will be able to get it back, don't worry. You know, that's kind of one of the kind of the issues that you'll have with deleting such a massive bit of infrastructure like this. But you know, it's going to look better in the long run, right? Okay, so the public transport lines will clear up towards the end of the episode as well, once we kind of have an idea of where things are going to flow. So I guess we'll start out with this little road right here. Now we have tram lines coming down this way, so let's carry that on. Actually, I'll tell you what, the first thing we want to do is terraform. So I guess kind of the initial problem with this area was that the terrain was very uneven, and it's not really what we wanted to kind of happen. We have deleted this water source, I think, didn't I? Yeah, we did. It will go away in a minute. Yeah, so the terrain wasn't particularly friendly to the idea that we wanted to run with, so we're going to kind of make sure we factor that in a little more. We'll probably push it back up to here as well. Let's just help these houses on their way. Let's grab the tram road, because we're definitely going to have the tram lines continuing through this area. And let's kind of bring him up to, let's see, I'll probably say around there is going to be a sensible place. This little cliffside house. Go away. A couple more over here as well. So let's get rid of them. Okay, so now we have that in mind. I might want to push that land a little bit further back. So let's take a big chunk out here. So when we kind of come to reform this one, we can use the softened terrain to make the slopes a little less harsh. We can come in with the cliffside tool and make little kind of cliffy outcrops. Obviously not like that. But we can do some things to help it fit in a little more naturally. Okay, so let's begin to kind of reform this road infrastructure, right? So with the tram line, I imagine it's going to kind of run in a loop around this kind of shape over here. So let's bring this tram road down. We'll bring them down a little further as well, and then we'll switch to our freeform. So we'll delete the elder care along the main road as well. And then what we'll do is we'll just kind of find... So we'll actually draw in this road a little bit beforehand. So let's maybe come out... So I want to snap to the road guideline of the main road here. And we'll have him there like that. So let me know in the comments, guys, is this kind of something that you do fairly often? Is it something that you're kind of very reluctant to do, as you mentioned at the start of the episode? Now, if we bring the tram line through there, it's going to be very close to this junction, which isn't going to be great for traffic. So I think what we'll do is we may even end the tram road here and switch it out to just a tram lane. We'll see how that kind of develops. Now we'll take our bunch of this stuff along here as well. Thank you very much. Okay, so we did previously have a park in here, and that's certainly something that I want to continue. So let's go ahead and start formulating these little circular roads. So we could introduce a one-way system into these little road networks, but I don't think that's really what I want to do. So we'll probably just leave it as two-way roads. Okay, let's wait for some of this water to subside and kind of gauge where we want this thing to start flowing from. Okay, so if we want to kind of start roughly from the halfway point, we can measure this road right here. It's 11,400, so 5,700 is going to be our halfway point. Let's see, let's move along here. There we go. So we'll just draw a little road marker so we know that this is roughly about halfway as to where everything starts from. So I guess what we'll do is we'll grab our curve road tool. So I do still want this kind of little mini park that we had to be factored into the middle of the circles, and we can do a nice little kind of road park crossing here as well. Also has some flower beds been left behind from the old park, but that's fine. Okay, so if we want to maybe start from here, the distance is 720. So if we come out by there, and then curve like that, that should be okay for our park, I think. Okay, so we know that we've got this one kind of running parallel with this road right now. So we can do the same again on the other side. We came up by a distance of 720, wasn't it? So we'll just keep moving back. So we know it's that snap node next to there. And that's going to give us a perfect little semicircle. Get some nice park assets in here as well. And we've got lots of nice large zonings for our houses to rest upon here as well. That's great news, it really is. So we can come up by 720 again. And then boom. So you can kind of always tell by the size of the zonings here as to how kind of perfect your circle is. So you can see kind of along the edge of the road we have 3 zonings. And then there's 3 here. And then we come up by 1 more. Yeah, so you can see how it's kind of symmetrical on each of these sides, right? So there's a 3 by 3, and then it goes to 1 more deep, and then you've got a big kind of 4 deep ones in here. So we can kind of see that, you know, the middle of the circle is symmetrical, and that's going to give us a very happy time indeed. So we can delete all this right now. Just get rid of all this zoning. Okay. So this is going to serve as kind of a nice centerpiece for our... Oh, looks like we have lost power to these guys. Don't worry, we will put you up eventually. Oh, we've still got all these little floating lampposts as well. Make sure we have to delete those. So let's go ahead and get that park area back in. And I guess we'll kind of start from this park area and begin to move out. The small park main gate, I think. And it looks like we aren't going to be centered here, but that's not the biggest problem in the world. So we'll drop one in there, and then we'll have a side gate straight opposite as well. So what we'll use this to do is we'll create kind of a really nice bridge crossing between the 2 sides of the park. And then obviously these guys will kind of... we may hook them up to kind of these sides, but because they're on curved roads, it might not look the most symmetrically great. So we'll just kind of wait and see as to what happens, right? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and clear off all these little park assets, all these little floating lampposts, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so let's kind of discuss the rest of the road network. So we're obviously going to have it continue spanning out in this circular formation. And I think between, so this is obviously the start of the first circle that we have right here. This little marker point here is another interval of 10 tiles away. So I think I'm going to leave an interval of 9. And then as we draw out, we can keep going. We see we arrive at this road guideline right here, right? So this is the one we want to snap to. So we're going to click on there with our curve tool, and then we're going to move across to the middle point. We'll line up perfectly with the road guideline, right? And then we can do the same thing down here as well. We'll snap into this one, and we're going back down to here. And then again, we can kind of see how even we are based on these tiles along the main road. So we have 2 on each side, flanked by a 4 deep, and look, 2 on each side with a 4 deep in the middle. So we can tell that the circles are still, you know, kind of flowing with one another. And with the zoning tiles we've got in here, we've got lots of nice big kind of 3 deeps and 4 deeps everywhere, and that's going to allow us to get some really nice kind of high level housing in. So again, we'll do kind of one more for video's sake, and then I'll go ahead and begin to do it all. So we snap to this node point here, come in with the road guideline, and then we'll see we hook up with this road point, and then we can come in just like that. And again, we can see 2 on each side with a 4 deep in the middle, and we have the same thing here. So we know that everything's staying perfectly symmetrical, purely based on the size of our zoning tiles, and we can see that we're now starting to generate a little bit of a nice suburban pattern. And I think it'll look really nice with this kind of park in the middle of it. I guess we'll see how it turns out. So I'm going to go ahead and carry on doing this, and we'll come back once it's all done. Okay guys, so it's done, kind of, pretty much. So let's have a little discussion about what we've done, right? So we have our circular pattern here, which is the key theme we wanted to replicate in this new suburb. As you can see, it's a lot neater, it's a lot more tidier, and you know, we're going to get some really nice big zoning tiles in here as well. Got lots of deep ones, even kind of back to each other here. It's going to look really nice. And we've expanded our little kind of nightlife centre over here, so the circle breaks off into another pattern right here. So you see it kind of meets the where would it be? I guess this is the middle point, isn't it? So it kind of meets here on its usual circular formation, and then it breaks off into a straight line into that suburb. And I think that's a nice way to kind of break out of this pattern. Further over here towards this side of the main road, we have introduced just some very basic kind of road lines. This is the first time I've tried something like this to kind of end a 4-lane tram road into just the tram lane. And then we'll have our trams flowing along here behind the circle. Got a little bit of jankiness going on here with the terraforming, but we can fix that up with detailing. And then we come back into just a very standard suburban pattern with a very basic one-way flow system either way through. This links into the countryside back roads, which link into the university town. We've also got some kind of real high-speed express roads that feed from town to town right here, just to get people so they don't have to bother jumping on the highway if they want to move from the university town into Braithwaite. And then we've also got kind of this dead space here. And I'm thinking actually we may place the aviation club here. This might be quite nice to have it, because obviously this is going to be a very rich suburb, and you imagine that to be someone who is part of an aviation club, they would be kind of wealthy, I guess, especially if they kind of owning their own little private planes and stuff. But yeah, we'll see. So we have kind of this space right here, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to save this for some kind of false parkland. So I'm just going to draw a really kind of basic road pattern through to hook these two together. Just so you know, it's breaking that pattern again. You can see it kind of comes off at a different angle. And you know, it's time to start emerging away from our little circular pattern here. So right now you can see it's a much more organised road layout. We're going to have lots of nice little different things in here. It's going to take a long time to grow, but that's what we're here to do, right? And also, for you traffic light anxiety people, don't worry, we will turn off all the traffic lights towards the end of the episode as well, because there are way too many traffic lights in this thing. So yeah, we'll definitely fix that up. Okay, so I guess we'll start out from the centre, right? Let's begin to kind of work on our park area here, and we'll begin to get some zonings around it. So I mentioned that we're going to kind of do a park crossing. Now, as far as I'm aware, this is a design of Biffa. Could be if he got it from somebody else, but to my knowledge, it is Biffa's design. So credit to Biffa. So this is a kind of a really nice way of using a park area, and we're going to use kind of a couple of bridges here to get this thing functioning. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my elevation step all the way down. Now I'm just going to use the park paths here. I'm not going to use the park path with decorations, purely because there's already so many trees here. I don't really want the park paths to be lined with trees as well. So we're just going to keep it perfectly symmetrical. We're going to come out by a cost of, so from here to here was 60. We're going to come out here by 60 as well. And I'm guessing we're going to be too short here, aren't we? Yes, we are. Okay, that's fine. So let's come out by one more like this. So kind of the goal with this thing right here is you're basically charging people money to cross the road. Now, even if there are pedestrian crossings nearby, people will still use this. This probably isn't the most efficient way to use this thing in terms of, you know, making money. But it's going to look great either way to kind of have this bridge flowing over. You want to make sure that when you do this, that you don't, let me show you an example right here. So we discovered this on the live stream. Say if you were going to do this, right? And you had the park side gate right here. You don't want to start the bridge immediately from the gate, because what happens is, for some reason, it's a bug in the game. When Sims arrive at the bottom of this bridge, they don't read the gate. They just kind of walk onto the pavement here, right? And that means that they won't pay the fee. So what you want to do is just draw the path out a couple of tiles away from the gate, so they have to walk down and through the gate. So if you want them to pay the fee to get into the park, then make sure that you have a little bit of leeway between where the bridge starts and where it ends. Alright? Fantastic. So let's begin to kind of fence off some of these things right here. Let's go just for our angle snapping right now. And we'll bring the fences right up alongside the main road. And we can just squeeze under the bridge. That's wonderful news indeed. Let's bring everyone through. So this is going to be a really nice kind of a centerpiece for our new suburb, right? Alright, so maybe let's go ahead and expand our path network here. Okay, so probably have a path that comes down here. Now, can we still squeeze in the plaza asset here, I wonder? Yes, we can. Wonderful. Okay, so the distance there was 80 down from the end of the bridge. So we know we can do the same thing on this side again. So I'm pretty sure that they won't glitch through the fence onto the plaza here, but if they do, like I said, you know, I'm not too bothered about this thing making money, but I guess we'll find out together if that works or not. Or someone will let me know in the comments either way. So we can bring another one out here as well. Now we're a little too short. Well, but we could get the park cafe in right here. Okay. Do we want the park cafe right on there, I wonder? Let's go ahead and decorate the park out a little more. Maybe we can have a rest room behind the plaza. How does this kind of collection of assets work together? Yeah, I think I like that. Not too sure about the cafe right up against here. Maybe if we delete it and then draw out a very tiny path, let's kind of come out. So that will connect it. So if we do 40, can we snap a cafe onto this end right here? Yes, we can. This is just wonderful news, isn't it? Okay, so I think if we have the cafe kind of like this, that's going to look a little bit nicer. Okay. So we'll duplicate the same thing on this side as well. So again, we can just measure our distances. Let's go ahead and grab path. So a distance of 120 this time. There we go. And then we have the restroom. So it really depends how anal you are about kind of your symmetry and kind of mirrored assets here as to whether or not you want to go into this much effort to kind of flesh out your park areas. Okay, we're going to have trams floating under here as well. This is going to look such a nice suburb once it's all finished. I imagine this is probably going to take me a couple of days to record as well. Okay, are there any other park assets we want in here? Guess we could have maybe a couple of little gazebos. Okay, there's definitely something with that design, but I'll come back and do it later rather than kind of forcing it to happen right now. Okay, we'll start those public transport lines that are flickering around everywhere. Okay, so we have this yellow tram line right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete this yellow line, and then we'll draw in a new one. So we have this tram interchange point over here, right? It looks like this one isn't actually being used anymore. That's strange. I must have forgotten to draw that one in, so we'll have to do that one again. So we built this little tram interchange park on the stream. You see there's kind of multiple little tram loops around here where trams can stop, and sims can change from kind of one line to the next. So this is where we'll start it out from. So we'll have the tram line start here. He's going to emerge out onto the road, and then he'll stop near the metro. So again, we're converging those two public transport lines together. And then with tram lines, I kind of find it, at least in my experience, it's best to kind of put them with 2-3 blocks apart, similar to buses, maybe if not a little bit further. So we'll have him stop on the tram road here itself, and people can cross pathways to get to different sides of the road. We'll have one right here for serving this side. And then I wonder, maybe we'll kind of consider the aviation club a little later, I think, as to whether or not we bring tram lines into that. And then again, we'll have one right here. We'll have one within the tram, within the park. And then kind of stopping outside the town centre here. And then he can emerge back into his line right there. So we may run one parallel that runs this way as well. I guess we'll just kind of see. So what we'll do is we'll grab this tram line as he comes out. We're going to change his colour. Let's go for a nice blue tram, and then we'll change the line obviously. So we'll go T7, which stands for tram line 7, and then we'll have Braithwaite Gardens. So we discussed this in the public transport episode. Colouring and naming your public transport lines will make them much, much easier to identify. Although he says as he just struggled to figure out what a public transport line was. Alright, okay. So we have some very strange zonings going on here. Let's get rid of these guys, and we'll start to get some buildings into our little suburb here. So we're going to have residential kind of as we come down this road here. What's the noise pollution like from this park? Yeah, we may struggle for a little bit of residential here. Let's go for commercial instead, opposite the town centre. So I really want to kind of plan out my my zonings right here. So again, we'll go for all the deep tiles up along the main road. Fairly happy with that. I'm probably going to be happy with 2x2 zonings as well. Obviously, you can imagine this is going to take a very long time to fill out, kind of doing it this way, but you will get there eventually, I promise. Okay. So we'll continue this. I'm already liking this so much more. This looks so much nicer. I hope you guys agree. If we delete the fence here, what kind of zonings do we get? We could integrate. I wonder. Let's try something. So Myrtle Gardens is the district here. Not anymore, it's not. We will make a new district for this area as well. Let's just kind of shave it all back up to where we want it. There we go. Okay. So we'll have a district that also runs the same as the park. I'm thinking maybe a little bit of Green Cities commercial in here, integrated into the park. So if we had it like there, if we delete a fence here, what kind of zonings do we get? And we can obviously draw those fences back in as well. So I guess we'll kind of see what that looks like. Integrating zonings into parks is just a fantastic way of making them a little more detailed and unique. Okay. So obviously we want some service buildings around here as well. These people are going to need schools. I'm going to try and use kind of as many high-end buildings as we can. So we're going to use all the nice kind of schools and stuff that comes with green cities. If we were to place the school in here, we wouldn't lose too many zoning tiles behind it either. Look at the land value. That's shot through the floor since we deleted all the parks and stuff around here. Don't worry, it will recover. Let's maybe just drop in a couple of park assets just to keep them happy in the meantime. This would actually be perfect for a botanical garden, wouldn't it? And you'll notice that I am calling it by the right name now as well. Maybe have this right here. This might look quite cool near where the trams come in. Okay, so I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll go ahead and drop in some services whilst we're here. So do we want the larger police station? I think because we're kind of in the small town suburb here, we'll keep it to kind of the smaller stuff. So we'll drop in a couple of police stations around here, I think. I'll probably have one along the main road like this as well. And let's go ahead and throw in a couple of little fire stations. Let's see, there's a good spot for one right there. And where's the nearest one? These guys definitely need a fire station over here too. So I guess we'll kind of feature this alongside the main road as well. So we've also got the road hooked in here as well. Look how busy this walking path is right here from the train station. It's super busy, 585 in a week for Boguzia Rail. And people are enjoying using this little path to get back and to from the zoo. Which is really great news. Okay. Kind of want to see a couple of trams coming through here. There we go. I really like that colour for the tram actually. Can't imagine there's too many people on the line right now. Yeah, there's two people at the interchange stop waiting to come and explore the new area. They are pioneers. Okay, so rather than just endlessly zoning here, let's have a little discussion about what we want to see as we drive up the main road. So as we kind of come closer and closer towards the park, I guess I want to kind of see more service buildings and commercial assets. Ooh, we got one of the parking lot buildings as well in here. I guess you could actually wait and try and hang around for the parking lot asset itself, if you wanted to. Okay, so the Institute of Creative Arts will definitely want this in at some point as well. And we could actually drop this in right up alongside our botanical gardens here as well and have a little bit of an important front between the road and the trams. Random fence, excuse that one. Okay. Let's get a post office in here as well. Obviously people will need to kind of post their stuff away. Perhaps again along here. We'll go for a little more commercial. So I'm very carefully zoning right now. Hopefully you guys can kind of appreciate, you know, taking this time to decide how your suburb appears, rather than just doing, you know, this and waiting for it all to grow. So again, we've got all these nice big 4x4s in here. We want all these filled out. And then I guess we'll just begin to kind of expand around here. So again, you know, it's entirely up to you if you want to be this anal with your zoning. I think you do thank yourself for it in the long run, because you get a much more uniform suburb, especially when all your buildings have hit level 5. It's worth the effort in my opinion. So let's just kind of talk. I need to post this on the channel actually. I need to do it after I finish recording today. The live streams are going to be on a little bit of a short-term leave. They're not going away forever. The reason being, we tried to go live the other day and the internet was just not handling it. You guys know that my internet is really bad anyway. So yeah, they're just on a little bit of a short-term leave. So we rang the internet provider and we were like, you know, the service is terrible, what's going on? And that it's because of COVID-19. You know, they have a really limited service, and because it was already basically a limited service for myself anyway, it can't support live streaming at the minute, guys. I am sorry, I really miss live streaming as well. We tried to go live on Saturday afternoon like we usually do, and it was just so slow. I couldn't get the buffer rate up. The bit rate was just chugging. It was awful. It really was awful. Okay, so we're starting to get some growth in here now. Now the question is, do we want a pathway that runs kind of all the way through this to link people from one side to the other? And I think the answer is yes. So we're going to go ahead and grab our straight road tool here. So I guess we'll come through here. Now I bet we can't squeeze through here, can we? Oh yes we can, perfect. Okay, so we have some weird zonings there. We don't like those shapes. And I guess we'll carry on through here. So this will just help people get from one circle to the next. And then we'll come in here as well. It's going to say if they're right here and they want to be on this side, then rather than having to walk all the way around, or God forbid actually drive over, then they won't have to do that. They'll just have a pathway that can take them straight through. Okay, so hopefully you guys can kind of see the designs and the ideas I'm happy to go with here. So we're going to cut away. I'm going to carry on zoning in some more residential very carefully around all these things, and we'll come back in once we've got something that I'm happy to show off. Okay guys, so things are progressing nicely, and I just wanted to kind of cut back in to discuss paths again, because I think it's been a while since we've really covered them. I know we mentioned them earlier with kind of this one, so we'll kind of have a look at them away from the rest of the circle. So where we kind of have some dead-end roads like this, perfect opportunity for a path to link people through. So just kind of take a bird's eye view at what you're building and think about where would be useful for a path for Sims to use. So right here would be a good example. We can probably just squeeze through the zonings there, yes we can. And then again, probably something similar for right here as well, kind of linking all these little end streets together, and we can do some really nice kind of detailing around here as well at a later date. So, you know, the paths will make a tremendous difference to the walkability of your city, is kind of the word that's thrown around. And just because we have zoning squares doesn't mean that we need to pat them out with zoning. For example, right here, we can kind of maybe get a little bit of zoning in right here. So we have commercial demand right now. Let's maybe get a nice little 4x3 commercial in, and then we can switch over to our dirt paths. No snapping with our freeform tool. And then what we can do around this little bit of zoning right here is just link all the different sides of the road together. So kind of from pedestrian crossing to pedestrian crossing is usually a good rule of thumb to follow. So we'll have one through here as well. And then if we just come ahead and grab some very kind of basic tree stuff, kind of throw in your bigger trees first. Kind of as many as you want to make sure we're not going to clash with that zoning. Now we're good, okay. So then we'll move down a step, or maybe grab some of the smaller trees. Have a few more of these in. So this is what I refer to as false parkland. Doesn't really make a difference to land value, but it looks nice in the end. And then moving down a tier again, we can maybe get some bushes in. And then maybe just run these kind of around the corners of the path. So we have some kind of nice little detailings in like this, right? And then maybe come ahead into your rocks tab and grab a couple of the smaller rocks. And then just kind of keep placing these pretty sporadically around. We can maybe even make like a little pathway entrance here. A couple of little rocks next to each other with maybe a totally different tree, one that you don't really use at all, like this one for example. That kind of sticks out like a sore thumb really. Maybe not that one, maybe a couple of these little smaller ones either side, right? And just to make a little kind of false park entrance. And that's just a nice little way of breaking away from constant zoning, just to make a nice little bit of false parkland like that. And once the commercial comes in, it should look alright. Okay, so we've hit a big chunk of commercial demand right now, so whereas most of the commercial on this side is pretty much finished, we'll have kind of this building is abandoned for low workers, but it'll come back eventually, don't worry about that. So kind of scanning down your high street, make stuff historical as you like the appearance of it. I obviously want this to be very low density. This is a very kind of quiet, rich suburb. I don't want any high rises in here. Obviously apply the high rise ban. But, you know, if I want a building to change its appearance, then or kind of hit max level, then you might not want to do that. It's a nice little kind of little drugstore right next to the post office here. And I just kind of make them historical as you find them. Not too sure how I feel about these ones. These are 2x2, aren't they? Don't know how I feel about them. Anyway, let's move over to this side of the suburb. So I'm thinking with this big street along here, this is going to be perfect for a nice big batch of commercial. And you'll notice that I'm saving some zoning squares for pathways. Probably have one through there as well. So that'll be a nice little commercial high street, and I guess we'll carry it on around this side as well and have a big batch of commercial right up along here too. So a nice big commercial focus in this area. Again, kind of similar to what we did over here with the pathways towards the detailing section of the episode. Obviously we've got quite a big gap between the zonings here, so perfect opportunity for some pathways. You could even, if you wanted to, go ahead and create another park life park. I guess it's kind of up to you, kind of if you want to do that. But we'll see how this develops. So this is another great way to fill out those spaces between zonings. There are a couple of park assets that come with the base game, like the small park with trees, and large playground that allow you to expand the asset away from it, so you can actually snap paths onto these. So just expand the park asset. We can see that we know what this type of tree is. I'm pretty sure this is the medium one. Pretty sure it's this one. There it is. So you can just kind of match it up. And then what you can do is just expand the trees out from the asset as well. And then you just make it look a little more organic. It's like a little bit of zoning has just come in there, that's fine. So already, this little street corner right here looks a lot more interesting. It's not just more endless zoning. Got some little bits of commercial kind of dotted in and around them. And again, I'm really happy with the way that these buildings look, so we'll make sure that they are all historical. and they won't change. I'm going to make sure we keep this nice little kind of park corner. Also place a dog park as well. Everyone's going to be really, really happy. So there's a med clinic in here too. Kind of, we need to place, I know we placed the elder care over here as well. These guys could actually do with the cemetery. We can maybe have kind of like a dual cemetery process in place here. We might make a kind of a dedicated cemetery area because I don't really like placing them along the main road. So let's see where would be a good spot to do that. That's kind of over here would be the best. Oh, we got the Shell petrol station coming in. So just keep running over it, keep making everything historical that you want to look the same. I've got lots of nice parking decals on these commercial assets. I'm really happy with the way that they look. Got trams running in front of them now, so we can really kind of see this town starting to come together. Nearly one full side of the circle is beginning to fill out with residential. Now we'll go ahead, kind of where we get these little gaps right here, and we'll make sure that we get a lot of different little tree assets in here too. Everyone's going to be very happy. So you see now, because we're making sure we're getting these big tiles in, we're getting these really impressive looking residential stuff in. Now, these are one of my favourite residentials. Kind of really nice, big, you know, 4 or 5 bed houses. People that work in the city live here. It's a very rich, expensive area to be. When you get commercial assets that you don't like, then just delete them. Because there are a few of them, like this one down here, for example. I don't like this building at all. So we know that he was growing in a 4x3. Just cut him down to size a little bit and let him regrow as something else. Probably not happy with this one either, so maybe it's cut him down to a 2x2. I think he's okay. A really busy corner forming here as well with the metro station. I really do like Braithwaite Town Centre. This is when we do start a new map, we'll definitely be expanding on this idea of creating a focal point of unique buildings, parks and public transport to fan out from. Let's kind of get a look at the bird's eye view of the new thing here. See how much neater it looks compared to what it was. Looks a lot more planned out, right? Got some people using these pathways now as well, saving them from driving. So I'm going to carry on zoning up, and we'll be back when we have something more to say. Okay guys, so things are still growing nicely. It's been about an hour, but we can see now things are coming together. We're starting to get that real fleshed out town centre feel. I have also duplicated another tram line in a slightly different colour of blue to run back the opposite way, just so we have kind of a use for this side of the tram road. And we've also drawn in kind of a little bridge, so we have 2 tram stops here on this road right here. So people can move on and off the tram lines. There's a little bridge that goes over that links up to kind of this higher road where we see into the Matrix under this little road right here. Yeah. This little bridge. It's a shame, you know, when you do kind of paths that are this steep, they don't auto transform into stairs. I really wish we get that in City Skylines too. That'd be really cool. But either way, it's not too steep for it to be unrealistic, and it's getting a little bit of use as well for people crossing from one side to the other, where these little trams. So it looks great, the tram stopping under the little pedestrian bridge as well. Further afield, we've also dropped in a skate park. Couple of little these paths again. Again, you know, we want to keep hitting that theme of walkability for the city, and we're beginning to kind of approach the train station over here as well. So it's slowly but surely coming together. Is there anything else we've majorly done? No, the park is starting to get a little bit of use now as well. We see people using the bridge, which looks really great. You know, people kind of crossing over the trams. It really adds a nice layer of height. I say that all the time, you know, but elevated pathways really do help just bring a suburb together. Further down here, we've kind of added in some of the child healthcare stuff, medical buildings, schools, parks, all the things that bring a suburb together. You know, it's all stuff that we've seen before. But yeah, it is slowly coming together. And hopefully you can see now from that opening shot just how much better this particular area looks. It's lots more planned out. We can see all these little main avenues that are flowing, linking people together. And I think we are going to use the aviation club here. So we'll begin to kind of work on that now. So we'll move this high school over, and then this will allow us to bring a little bit of a fancy road between here. So this will kind of be the entrance to our aviation club, right? So we'll just kind of come out at a curve like this. Now the aviation club is a fair size, but we should have enough room for it to kind of lie here. So we'll go ahead and draw in that road. So I wonder if we actually use industrial roads for this. Let's see, if we grab, we can always upgrade them or change them out if we want to. Let's just kind of draw in kind of a block road like this, right? And then let's grab our aviation club. So we'll kind of have it right here. So I haven't actually seen this asset before. So obviously this came with Sunset Harbour. There is a rock in the runway. We will have to tally up the rocks as well. There's a lot of them around this part of the map. But I certainly think the industrial road kind of gives it that airport vibe, right? I don't know why we're kind of bouncing all over the show here. The game must not be rendering the terraforming in too well. So then if we come straight up here. Yes, that's going to be a nice little entrance point into the aviation club, I think. And then if we carry on, I wonder if we actually draw this industrial road all the way around it. And maybe kind of add in a couple of some of the industrial stuff, so it's almost like service buildings for this kind of thing. Okay, so we'll box it in like that. And then we have another road through here as well, so I guess we'll just link this guy up. Let's come out to here. And then curve in like that. So he will need... Whoa, look at the water pipes. The water pipes have not terraformed. They are in the sky raining water down onto their people. Okay, so I think let's maybe go for... I do have the biodome here as well. We haven't used that for a while. So the park maintenance building. How does this look? Yeah, this kind of looks like airport-y, right? Okay. I think I like that. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and grab our industrial fence. So obviously oil is kind of the most industrial looking one. And then we'll just go ahead and snap to our angle. Now can we draw out from the airport itself? No, we can't. Okay, that's fine though. So we'll bring a road in. You know, there's kind of aircraft here. People are storing their private aircraft, so you would imagine it would be fenced off. You can't just walk into this thing. You have to kind of show your paperwork, your licensing. How about a warehouse as well? Maybe a small warehouse. So kind of like it's storing, I guess, like jet fuel. Get it to store commercial zoned goods. Apparently he does need water. Oh, that's so weird with the water pipes. Has anyone ever seen that before? Place water pipes and then terraform the land away and they float in the air. I don't suppose it's a huge issue really, is it? Okay, and then we can bring this oil fence back down. And then bring it up to there as well. So that'll give a nice little kind of boxed off effect, right? It is a really nice looking building. Certainly a nice asset to integrate with your airports, but obviously our airports are kind of fallen over there. Okay. Let's kind of have a look at any other assets. Obviously fishing industry don't really work here. The waste disposal unit. That's a pretty beefy one. Don't really want that one just yet. Is there any other unique buildings that would go well with this? Nothing else really that would properly fit into this. Do have a climate research centre. How about this for a game of soldiers? Does this look airporty? Airporty is the official term if you were wondering. Kind of looks airporty. It's got this kind of radio tower and some little kind of cargo containers. This is obviously from the Natural Disasters DLC, I think. He says obviously. But yeah, I don't know if the high school really works on this street corner anymore. Let's maybe look to relocate him. Obviously we get a little bit of abandonment just as the new area stabilises. It's totally fine. I think that'll be a really nice thing to kind of have at the head of our luxury expensive suburb here. So these guys are waking up on a Sunday afternoon. They've read the Daily Mail. They've had their chamomile Earl Grey tea. And they're like, you know what we're going to do today, Judith? We're going to jump in the private plane and we're going to fly around Bogusia. The snobs of Bogusia are going to enjoy this quite a lot, I think. But in terms of a couple little collection of assets, I think they work really nicely together. So we've got the climate research station, park, maintenance building, and an aviation club as well. So I think they, as a collection of buildings, they actually work really quite nicely together. Looks like he's leaving the city. Looks like he's been to the aviation club. Fantastic. Fantastic news. Yeah, so I think with this space here, what we'll do is we'll make kind of a thick forest to separate the suburb from the airport. I don't think we really want lots of zoning in here. Alright guys, I think the final thing we're going to do with this area is kind of make a dedicated cemetery area for this particular thing. So obviously we have such a mass amount of population in this town. We're going to want to make sure that they have the adequate death care. So I think we'll start this off by bringing in one of these roads, the large avenues with grass. So kind of making a dedicated cemetery isn't really something that I've tried before. So I guess we'll run this to down here. So this will be the main road. And then we'll have 2 cemeteries. Could actually bring some back to back as well. Maybe let's how about if we use a dirt road to come down here? Can we still squeeze in a cemetery against this? Oh no, we're a little short. That's fine. I think 2 should be enough with the crematoriums as well. And then with the crematorium, we'll go ahead and grab a little one-way road. We'll have this flow. Let's bring it back a little bit further. Let's come out by 240. No, still occupied. That's fine. Let's do 300. There we go. Okay. So there is actually a couple of buildings that we very rarely use here. So I think the General Hospital came with the Japan Content Creator Pack. And there's the Cryopreservatory as well. So I'm pretty sure this functions kind of as the same as a medical laboratory as well. What does this look like? This would have been really nice to put into the University of Technology. There's so many buildings that you just forget about while you're playing, you know? Anyway, so we'll grab our crematoriums. And then we'll kind of have... So you think about it, the point of this is that bodies empty out of the cemetery. They come down this road, they feed into the one-way system, head into the crematoriums, and then they can either head out and go pick up more bodies, or they can carry on emptying these and keep feeding them into the crematoriums. So I'll have one more like this, and then like this. So we'll have 4. We'll try and space them as evenly as possible. And then what we'll do is we'll grab some... What fence do we want here? How would the zoo one work? Yeah, I think we'll use the zoo path. It'll be a nice change. Nice change of scenery. think, guys, I just have to say I have really enjoyed rebuilding this suburb, and I'd highly recommend you do it. You know, go and find an area in your map that you're really not happy with, and rebuild it. You know, factor it into new road infrastructure like we have here, like we have, you know, the new main avenue. More main avenues coming down here, factored into a train station. Interesting to see that almost all the train station people still preferring to use this path here. They don't want to use the new shiny road network we put in for them. Well, that's fine. It keeps them off the roads and keeps them walking. I'm not complaining. Okay, so I guess we'll carry this on around here. Let's bring it around the back of these crematoriums. So we're just doing that thing we've done 1,000 times before of boxing something off to, you know, give it that dedicated area. It's very clear that this is something specific, and it's going to provide a nice bit of serviceable kind of service, I guess. I don't know what the word is for our Sims. Let's maybe bring a path through here as well, and then one through there, and maybe a touch more commercial within these spaces. And then again, what we'll do is we'll just run some very basic trees through this area just to help kind of create a nice border around it. And I guess we'll do the same down here as well. Just make this quite a forested region. Might look a little bit basic. I think we'll take these ones off, and then we'll have some more residential around here as well. And again, we'll just continue that pathway through. We'll come through one there like that. Don't know what we're going to do with this area, because this is kind of like the backcountry roads out into the university town. So we'll probably just make this forest, if not extend the suburb out a little bit. Not entirely sure what we're going to do with that just yet. I'm actually wondering if we turn this into a cycle highway. I think we will. So from this road that runs to the train station. So we've mentioned kind of creating cycle highways before, and it's something we did a lot in the Desert City on the live streams. We're just gonna actually switch to the 6-lane roads here. So having a dedicated cycle highway kind of in your city will really help reduce the traffic, especially if you have the, excuse me if you can hear the siren. If you come to city planning and make sure that encouraged biking is encouraged citywide, you'll really notice a difference with, that is so loud. Be right back, guys. Okay, the police have caught the criminals of the Lake District. And we can now continue to look at our cycle highway. Oh, looks like we need some water over here. My apologies, friends. Let's bring you guys in. Okay, yeah, so the cycle highway, this should hopefully get quite a lot of use as the AI begins to pick it up. So there's a few people kind of bobbing around on it right now. And then these guys can link into the Diverging Diamond over here. Okay guys, that is going to do it for today's episode. There's going to be no outro Taj today because I've done a lot of the detailing off camera, so we'll stick around for the rest of the outro Taj, and then we'll kind of see what we've done in the little bits and pieces. Really enjoyed building this. Hopefully you guys can get some inspiration from it as well, as to go ahead and rip out an old suburb that you don't like anymore and factor in something a little more impressive like we have done here with Braithwaite Gardens. I'm really super happy with the way this has turned out, and hopefully you guys liked it as well. If you did, a like below is always appreciated. Equally as much if you didn't enjoy it, please feel free to leave a dislike as well. But otherwise, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.